Welcome to week 6, Guardian Scholars. Can you believe that you are already a third of the way through the semester and you're finished with Essay 1? So we're moving now from level 1 to level 2, and our focus for this level for the next 3 weeks is choosing your weapons. Now, I have a quick announcement about this whole week. I possibly have jury duty this week. So, as it goes with jury duty, you don't always know until the night before. So, I may need to cancel both some of the benchmark conferences and some of the Zoom class and Zoom study rooms. So I will make sure to post an announcement each day and send out an email each day to let you know if I am called in for jury duty. And in that case, there is still quite a lot that I have available online to help walk you through. And if you have questions, I can add more content to help address those questions. So for Monday, what I plan to do is to introduce rhetorical appeals, and these are the weapons that writers use to try to achieve their purposes. And but I do have recordings that I've made about each of the 4 main rhetorical appeals that we'll be discussing, and a discussion of purpose and audience. So please do watch those videos, and there's a little 5-point quiz where you're just matching terms to definitions afterwards, and you can retake that as is usual. I have the benchmark survey for level 2 available. That should take you less than 5 minutes to take, I think. And so please do that as soon as possible. And like I said, I have conferences, so you can make appointments anytime you're available. If I have to cancel, I will definitely open up more conference times. And if none of the conference times work with your schedule, please shoot me an email and I will make an appointment with you at another time. Usually the other time that works well for me is at 8 o'clock at night once my kids are supposed to be in bed. So we will do our best to work with the craziness that is 2020. We have a weekly reflective journal that is connected to the ideas of purpose and audience. I hope you'll find it a little bit fun. I think it'll be a little fun. And remember, with these journals, please don't take more than 15 minutes. Really put on that timer, give yourself 15 minutes. Maybe set a stretch goal of trying to write at least 100 words in that 15 minutes. But if you don't get there, still turn it in. That's fine. And then our real focus this week is reading the next 3 chapters of Grit. So chapter 6 we talked about interest. Chapter 7 we're going to be looking at practice. How do people practice in a way that helps them to be grittier and more successful? We'll start with our first part of our Flipgrid discussion that will be due on Tuesday night, and then you'll have another one that's due Thursday night that'll focus more on purpose. So I did talk to the Flipgrid people. They finally responded back, and they said that if I set it up to load in a new window, that hopefully the problems that a few of you had with Flipgrid will disappear. So you would click on this, and a new window would open up. And I have the directions in here too, and you can record a response. So hopefully that will work a little bit better with having it open in a new window. And so if it doesn't, again, just you can, I put it in here, but you can record yourself or write your response and submit it as a comment if Flipgrid is not working for you. But I'm really hoping it will. We really had a great discussion last time where people were asking questions and other students were responding to them, and it just feels a lot more like a real discussion. So again, Zoom study room, we'll have to find out whether I have jury duty, but hopefully I won't, so it'll be available to you. So for Thursday, you're going to be doing your metacognitive reading log 6 on chapter 8, which is focused on purpose and the role of purpose. And again, always as you're doing it, think about, you don't have to turn in these questions to me, but if you scan and think about these questions before you read, it will really set you up for success. as you read, I said it's a 24-page chapter, so you might want to break it up into two, like 12 pages here, 12 pages there, or even into 3 sections. That'll just make it a little bit easier for you to stay focused. And you'll see the rubric is there. And then after you read, this is when you do the metacognitive reading log. You can do this on paper, as many of you have done. You can type it out, but you can however works best for you is fine. All right, so moving on. This week we're going to be doing 3 S's for Step 6. This is also from 10 Steps to Earning Awesome Grades, and I've been adding it in so that you guys don't have to go looking for the reading. And I think everybody's kind of gotten the hang of that by now. So for the Writing Reading Center this week, what I would like you to do is go in and think about any DLA that you really feel will help you target something that you know you need to work on. So, for instance, grammar is too vague, but if you know you have a problem with run-ons or a problem with fragments or a problem with apostrophes or commas, you can go into the improving grammar or the improving punctuation or improving your writing style modules in the Writing Center. Pick one that seems really relevant to you, and that's the DLA that you will do this week. So, as I have said before, in terms of working with an instructor at the Writing Center, you'll want to go to that writing lab in Canvas. And what we have found is if you take the and I'll go ahead and upload these here too, but I have the draft schedule of the Writing Center. I have not heard back yet about the updated schedule, but if you know you're available, say on a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, you know that you can come and talk to me in Cranium Cafe. So you could just search for somebody that you know is on duty if that works better. And that's one of the things that Arturo showed us last week. The other thing, though, that you can do is go to smartthinking.com and use the Smart Thinking Tutors. So if I go to rcc.edu services tutoring, we get to online tutoring, and your username and password are explained here. You would click and log in, and I know that at least one person used the Smart Thinking Tutoring, maybe a couple people did, and they said it worked really well, and it's basically chatting. And for a lot of times Cranium Cafe is kind of, if the audio is not working, we end up chatting anyways. So if you want to use the Smart Thinking Tutors, you absolutely may do that and use that for the Writing Center as well. So if Cranium Cafe is just giving you a headache, don't worry about it. And I'll put that link in here as well after I'm done making this sort of overview welcome video. Okay, I have a section on navigating your way through the essay, background and counter arguing. This is for English 91. And so I have 2 videos, and then you'll have a quiz that you can take as many times as you need. And I have also included some review of the ties. Sorry, I moved on before finishing. So that's the tag, introduce, embed, split, because we talked about that a previous week. But if it's new to you, I think review is really helpful, and seeing more examples is really helpful as well. So I just took quotations from my examples in the videos and put them in and asked you some questions about those. So like I said, you can retake it as many times as you need up to the due date. I did want to make you aware that you can still do the RCC Library Research Workshop extra credit opportunity if you have not yet already done it. I'll go ahead and change the due date after we're done. And so they do have the workshops available all the way through. However, the sooner you do it, the better that's going to be, as we're moving towards our research paper pretty soon. Okay. And then Zoom Study Room Friday, again, I will notify you if I have to go in by 8 o'clock the day of. And then on Saturday, there are actually 2 assignments, so please do watch for that. We are reading Chapter 9, Hope, from Grit. And again, I have the before, as, and after you read questions, and you can turn those in as a handwritten photograph or typewritten. But please do that before you start writing Sprint 2. Now, I gave you 180 minutes, that's 3 hours. You don't necessarily need to spend that whole time. And what you're going to be doing is the study guide is here. And so every essay is text-based. We're going to be writing about, analyzing, evaluating, using what we're reading. So make sure that you have read chapters 6 through 9 of Grit. And then what you're going to write about is how Duckworth defines each of those terms and why she thinks it's so important to developing grit. So this is probably going to be really 6 paragraphs because you're going to have an intro, a conclusion, and then 4 body paragraphs, 1 on interest, 1 on practice, 1 on purpose, and 1 on hope. And then for each of those 4 foundations, in addition to explaining how Duckworth defines it and why it's important to developing grit, which again, you might want to use those metacognitive reading logs. The golden lines and the 8-word summaries are really helpful for that. But after that, I want you to think about examples from your own experience or observation. So I think actually a really great place to look for these, if you don't want to talk about your own life, which is totally okay to use your own life, but is to think about some of those competition-focused reality TV shows, such as Losers or Cheer on Netflix or Making the Cut on Amazon Prime. I think there's so many really neat examples of grit in each of these 3 shows, and you may have shows that I have not watched that are also relevant. So remember, once you take the quiz, it starts counting down, right? So don't start doing that. You can see, it's counting down already. And then you're going to type into here. Now, I do have a possible scratch outline, right? And so that you can fill in there. But what I would highly recommend is that you would open up maybe a Google Doc or a Microsoft 360 and really just start writing in there, right? And so if you go, okay, here's the question, right? And you're going to say, okay, here's my question, and then you start writing your essay in here. That way, if something happens and your computer crashes, I can see when you started the quiz. So it tells me, Canvas tells me when you opened the quiz and when you started it. And so if something crashes and then you have to finish online and then email it to me, that's a really good safety net for you. Okay? So and it does happen, and Canvas doesn't save what you've written. And the other thing that I know is that for some of you, if you have those borrowed laptops, just be aware that they don't save your work either. And so going into Google Docs and creating, if you say writing Sprint 2, because this is for level 2, right? And you just save it, then you can copy and paste it, boom, into here. Now the other thing is when you're copying and pasting, let's say you're making paragraph breaks, it often loses those paragraph breaks. It doesn't do the tab or anything like that. And look, so I don't want to do that. So sometimes you need to add extra space. Now normally in writing you would not want to have extra space like that, but just to make sure that I can see where you're starting a new paragraph, you can add the extra space in just to make it really clear, because it does. You can add like indentations this way as well. So you could do that, but just make sure that I can see your paragraph breaks, because it can make a big difference in my understanding what you're trying to say if I can see paragraph breaks in the end. Okay, because once I start reading it, I need to see those paragraph breaks to know. Okay, so I know this went a little long, but I hope it was helpful, and I hope to see you this week and not have jury duty. But if I am, I will do my duty.